Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am HALICUE'S Hannah. You are in the Tarot Power Soul Club. You are so very welcome here, and welcome to the Boss Witch Interviews. What even is the Boss Witch Interviews? Well, it is my latest and greatest audio offering that introduces you into the world of boss witches, professional intuitives, and psychic artists that inspire and educate me. These are the people that I think are knocking it out of the park, that are some of the smartest kings, queens of swords that I have come across. They're either a part of my own personal life and coven, or they have made such an impression upon me that I humble myself and I introduce myself and I ask them to come up on my cosmic couch to share who they are and what they create with you. And this morning, I would like to introduce you to and welcome you into the world of a magical mom, one of my, who's becoming a good girlfriend, a fellow co-creator out here in this world. She is the founder of Collective Commons. And I have so many wonderful questions for her. But before we get started and before she introduces herself, Erica, if it's okay with you, I'd like to read a little something to you. Is that okay?
Okay. I think so. Yeah, go.
Okay. Erica, absolutely get into it. This boss witch is passionate about being an advocate for justice and walking her talk. They are committed to doing the least amount of harm possible in all of their actions. They're continually learning and unlearning, and they always welcome the opportunity to do so. This boss witch believes that all life is sacred: humans, animals, plants. They feel that we're all interconnected in the most incredible ecosystem here on Earth. They believe that we all belong. Their life's work is to help us remember that. Together, we can uncover, nurture, and grow this divine web of connection to cultivate more equity, peace, joy, and sustainability for all. Erica, who is this? Who am I talking about?
Gosh, that is me. And you know what? I've heard these interviews when you were talking to Karen and you were talking to Ariana, and the way that you deliver that, HALICUE, it's so beautiful. And thank you for reflecting me back to me. I I felt that. I was like, oh yeah, that is what that's how I feel. That's what that's what I am about. That's what I strive to be about. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in like the hustle and bustle of just, you know, everyday life. Excuse my dog in the background. That we forget, but that's my big picture. So thank you for reminding me.
Oh, you were so welcome. And it's my honor and my thrill to read your words back to you. And if it in any way, if you liked it or it impressed you, good. Cause I like you and you really freaking impress me. Y'all, I first met Erica almost a year ago. We were given the opportunity in a workspace and a collective that we're all a part of to put together a dream team for a workshop on magical mothering. And my good friend Karen Lepage said, well, we have to have Erica. And so from the moment I first read about you and was getting to know you, especially the second I found out about your Gemini excellence, I got nervous because I love a freaking Gemini. I think it's because I've never been in a relationship with them, but I just respect your intellect, your knowledge. You, to me, are you're organized. You're this amazing executor, and you're an experience creator. And so, with that being said, Erica, my first question is, can you give us a little bit, because there's a story in my mind. Think of you as this lead character in a story about music and music production and performance and how you got started. But can you please tell us a little bit about your own magical origin story and what exactly is Collective Commons?
Gosh, okay, so my own magical origin story is so interesting because, I grew up in a place where we didn't. It's interesting to me that like all of the media and the things that I was consuming, you know, we think about the cartoons and the movies that we watch as kids, it's full of magic, but like my everyday life, my parents were very practical and logical and conservative, and there was no magic. So that's something that I always really was interested in, but wasn't really supported in exploring. And so I think over time, that's something that I think it started with just understanding my intuition and trusting myself and realizing that I had the power to really co-create the spaces around me and the, you know, where I was headed and where I wanted to go. And it's really blossomed in just the past few years through a series of serendipitous events, through meeting clients or, you know, just becoming friends with people and being invited into spaces where that exploration and that growth into all things magical, spiritual, esoteric has just been so lovingly nurtured. So it's interesting in how it relates back to Collective Commons. Collective Commons is the business that I started almost 4 years ago now, I guess. And my history is in working with startups. I've always worked with entrepreneurs. I've always worked in some tech startups in the music industry. I lived on a tour bus for a couple of years. But I've just always kind of been in those spaces where you got to kind of wear all the different hats. It like very much suited my big Gemini energy of like doing all the things. And I'm also like a triple air sign. So like just always on the move, always exploring, kind of like floating all over the place. And so I got kind of burnt out working in startups. And I was like, well, if I'm going to work this hard for for somebody else, I just should do it for myself. Which I didn't realize at the time meant that, oh yeah, but I'm also going to have to be like the accountant and the social media manager and the everything else. But at the time, Collective Commons started as a kind of a lot more professional, a lot more practical, kind of as like a creative agency for freelancers. And through the pandemic and over time, it's shifted a lot too, from consulting with, you know, startups to really in the past couple years leaning into my magic. The pandemic gave me a lot of hermit time to really dig into that. And so before I started the business, I'd gotten my holistic life coaching certification. And so just because I thought I needed something more to like, I don't know, I'm always like trying to build credentials, but instead of using that with businesses now, I've been doing that with businesses and individuals and like really helping people understand their own magic and understand their own sovereignty and just feeling more confident in who they are, because I've really realized over time that like for so long I did everything the way that I thought it was supposed to be, and that just didn't feel right. And so I was like, we've got to get aligned in ourselves. We have to understand ourselves and appreciate ourselves and feel safe being ourselves, and that's how we make the most impact, and that's how we share our gifts and our magic. And so that's what Collective Commons has evolved into, and I feel like I've said a lot of words, so I'm going to pause there.
That's why I love you so much, because I like to say a lot of words and I like to listen to a lot of words, especially from intelligent, funny women. It's another thing too. I hope as y'all get into Erica's world, like you'll also realize that she is, I personally find you a hoot. I think it's kind of hard for anyone to tickle my funny bone. That's not a really smart cookie. And of course, with all that air energy, that makes total sense. So one of the last things that you said, Erica, and that I'm really curious about is, and I know some of our audience and our community and our listeners are interested in too, is sometimes as we're on like a spiritual journey, as we're becoming more aligned, we're evolving, we're learning how to use our spiritual tools, we're grounding, we're getting connected to ourselves, we start getting an idea of what our purpose is on this planet, like our passion, and like we begin to understand that we have something valuable or we have a gift and we want to offer it to other people. And you mentioned earlier, like kind of accepting who you are, releasing fear. What was that last barrier you had to push past or work magic on, or to ignore, or that you just decided to like bust past, that made you go from being this very effective, and I'm sure well received, spiritual being who was having a human experience? Like, what took you from that place into deciding to take it pro, like gathering all of that up and deciding like, I have this to offer, the world needs this? Like, was there one tiny thing or one obstacle that you were able to blow past? And if so, like what was it? Would you mind sharing it?
Yeah, honestly, I really think I have to credit the pandemic. And my family, we we were pretty locked down, and I was able to take that time to kind of step away from the places and the spaces and the people that I was normally in, which was like a very professional world. I've worked in Nashville, for so long, and the contacts that I'd made were not, I don't know that they were people that were not spiritual, but those just weren't the things that we had talked about. Those weren't the things that I had been practicing. And I kind of felt like, I needed some space to try all that on. And I also needed some space, I think, away from some of the people that maybe didn't understand like this new direction of things that I was interested in, and just weren't going to be kind of like the support that I needed. And so yeah, it was some hermiting time. It was really taking the time to slow down and listen to myself and seek out the spaces that felt safe and felt good to me, instead of just going back to the spaces that I had, always been a part of, and that, it was just kind of like, oh, well, that's what I do on the weekends, is we go here and we do this. And it was like, oh, well, now I have an open calendar. Like, what do I really want to fill this with? And the beauty of the internet is that you can find anything you want or need, and now we can be there virtually, and we can connect with those people. So I think, yeah, the shift in kind of who and where I was spending my time with was huge for me.
Oh man. This is okay. This is very interesting because these are questions that, Eric and I have been working working together, creating a podcast for months. But some of this is very, very new information for me. So I'm like writing down and I'm taking notes and I'm like amending as we go. Um, but one of the things I can't help but think, Erica, is as you talk a little bit about that and your journey and how this all kind of got started for you, and what was the thing that enabled you to be like, F it, like I'm doing it, I'm finally going for it, is this idea of coven, the group, working and co-creating in a group with you in it has been unbelievably helpful to me, and inspiring and exciting and igniting to me in so many ways. And it reminds me of when I was interviewing uh, the Money Witch, Jessie Susanna Carnat. And in her book, she wrote, in the beginning of her journey and kind of evolving, she wrote that she discovered the word witch. She gathered a coven around her. And I know that you have your own community, the Intuitive Biz Coven. I talk a lot about my Intuitive Biz Coven because I work closely with you and a part of a couple of other working groups. I'm not part of it, but I think it can be so useful and so helpful for folks that are looking for their people, right? They're looking for other intuitive business people. Can you talk to us a little bit about what coven means to you and what the Biz Coven is all about?
Yeah, so I think it's like what you're saying. I mean, we as humans are not meant to be like solitary creatures. Like we're hardwired to connect with people. I love Brene Brown. She talks about that. We're hardwired to connect with people, and if we don't have meaningful connections, we suffer. And so, just like with anything that's important to you, it's really crucial to have people around you that, even if they don't fully understand it, can just like hear you and share that space with you, and just give you some kind of support so that you know that you're not alone. And also, I think it's the best way to learn. Like, humanity has evolved through storytelling and through sharing experiences, and we don't have the villages that our ancestors just grew in, the way that they lived. And I feel like our modern lives, especially in Western societies, we get so segmented, and we're like running this and we're doing this and we have these calendars. And I know that, like, I was feeling like in my life, my family, we had all these different kind of like friend groups, right? And it'd be like, oh, you go see these people over here and you go see that over there. And a few years ago, we started doing these monthly plant-based low-waste potlucks, and just kind of inviting like everybody, like all of our different kinds of pods of people, the music people, the business people, the kids friends, the family friends. And it was really cool to kind of like get that enmeshment of all of the people that we loved together and in our home. And it really filled me up. And I started realizing how important it was to just be surrounded by like-hearted people. And so, like I said, as pandemic time kind of happened and we were at home and we were online more, and I was getting like really digging into shadow work and spirituality and all of these different kind of modalities, I was like, well, I still need that kind of community, but these are the people that I'm craving. And so I started doing a lot of online workshops. It's how I met you. I was in Holisticism's North Node, and connecting with people that were peers, were collaborators, were contemporaries, that we have these same goals and these same interests. And so I decided that a lot of times when Collective Commons is, my goal is to really cultivate community and connection, but it also selfishly, I make things that I need. And so I had started it, even way before, as like a kind of more like a business, like an entrepreneur thing, right? Because I wasn't sure about all of the witchy stuff yet. They were called Pro Pods, and we'd meet once a month and just kind of, I modeled it off of when I was doing more corporate stuff, and there'd be all these like networking events or these, groups that would, meet for breakfasts and stuff. And I was like, well, we need that, but for these solopreneurs. And as my journey continued, I felt more comfortable making it more intuitive. And, we'd always kind of pulled cards and stuff, but then like, I was like, well, let's really get into it. Like, let's do spell casting together, and let's like do future visioning, and we can do timeline jumps. And we started to get into just a lot more esoteric stuff, and it's felt really good. And so, yeah, I do host the Bizwitch Coven. I see some of the witches in here. Hi, Emily and Karen. So yeah, we meet twice a month now. We've got a group, and we really talk about. We talk about our businesses because we are all solopreneurs, but we know that kind of everything's connected, and so there's space for the life stuff that's going on too. And we just kind of pick a theme, and we have an altar that I keep for us in my office space, and everyone's kind of got their own altars. We do rituals together. We come up with ideas. It's been a really fun place to kind of explore and play and be really intuitive about our business. Like Emily's in here, she's a great Akashic Records reader. She'll open the records for us as a group, and we can. It's like Michelle from Holisticism says, everything's data. So whether it's Google Analytics or a tarot card spread, like there's still information there. So what if we used both of those things? And so the Bizwitch Coven is just kind of a place where, as I was part of a much larger community, I needed more of that like one-on-one, like small group connection, like let's actually chat about this. So I host a space. I host a space for that. That's been really lovely, and I mean that's part of hosting spaces is like my jam. I love being a hostess, whatever it is. So if you're in my neck of the woods, like I'm gonna have you over for dinner. If we're far away, then let's meet in a Zoom room and make magic there.
Oh my gosh. It's just, you do so much. Oh my God, you have the most amazing executive. You have the most amazing executive function. Truly, I believe that, or at least this has been my experience, that it feels to me that like you come up with this amazing idea, you've automatically got a container for it, a way to talk about it and express it, and a way of inviting people in and getting it done. Like I'm just so impressed, and I'm so glad people got to hear a bit about the Intuitive Biz Coven, because I get to have that experience with you by virtue of something that we are creating and the conversations that we have in the back channel. And I personally feel, please comment on this and tell me how you feel about it, Erica, but I personally feel that no one understands the challenges of being an intuitive business person that isn't doing the exact same thing. I get something very different from meeting and talking, communicating, brainstorming, dreamstorming with you and other amazing intuitives like Karen, like Ariana, my sisters, than I would from, say, like a college, like the Dartmouth women business owners, alumna or whatever. I feel like there's just so much more. I also wonder, how are people even starting businesses if y'all don't have like a coven? How are you even starting businesses if you don't have an altar? If you're not doing a ritual, if you're not consulting the cards or like using your pendulum. I accept and understand that that's not everybody's way, but I certainly don't understand why you wouldn't do it that way if you had the choice or the opportunity. I'm trying to think. I really want to talk a little bit about the fact that you're a magical mom. We're going to be talking to folks and, promoing and debuting and launching our podcast coming up. But it's one of the ways in which I really know you. To give a reference, like dirty jellies, like that term will always, like no one else understands like except
Yeah.
you. But we talk about our motherhood and how that's a part of our journey. Can you talk to me a little bit about being the mom of a magical creature, how that affects your work and your business and all the amazing things that you create?
Yeah, actually, and I think that whole motherhood experience is a big part of my magical journey that I completely missed when we were talking about that earlier, because I think that time of being pregnant with my daughter was like very intuitive, right? Like you are growing a new life inside your body. And that was definitely a time where I started kind of reconsidering, like, okay, all of these things that I've been doing, the work that I do, the just kind of the way that I live my life, like, is this this is kind of like a big life changing moment, right? Like we're bringing a new person into the world. Is this what I want them to? Is this what I want to give to them or teach them, or is this what I'm trying to show them is important? And there were a lot of shifts that happened around that time, because I kind of realized, if anyone's ever worked in like tech startup culture, I mean, I was working ridiculous amounts of time. I worked at a startup that, I mean, they literally, just to keep us at work, they were buying us meals. They were bringing in masseuses. They were renting tour buses to, like, to put in the parking lot so people would sleep there because it was just ridiculous. And so, yeah, I think becoming a parent, it was one of those like big realizations where I was like, okay, what am I doing with my life? Am I like living this the way that I want to teach a new person how to live this? And so becoming a parent was absolutely a big part of the magic. And I think it's been so interesting because our kids are just, I mean, they're mirrors. Like, my daughter reflects back to me the things that I'm doing because she's just a sponge, and that's how she learns. And so I'm just constantly in awe of that, but also like kind of course correcting, like, oh wow, that's what I sound like, or that's what I'm doing. Okay, hang on. I'm glad someone showed that to me. And I think kids can do that in either the most loving or the most kind of dysregulating way. But she's taught me a lot, and I've decided that because I'm so interested and I so strongly believe in, I mean, to me, magic is just working with intention, which I think was something that I didn't always understand. And so sharing that with my kid and just being more mindful and conscious of the choices that we're making and why we're making them has been hugely just so special. That it's so funny. Before I was a mom, I like couldn't imagine. I was never one of those people that like had baby fever or anything. I was just like, yeah, I'll probably be a mom someday. And when I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't even imagine having a kid. And then, after having one, I was like, I can't imagine what I was doing before. Like, this just feels so like, this is so great. And it's hard and it's challenging, but overall, it's been really cool. So, yeah. Oh, kids, and they just know magic, right? They just believe in it anyway, and I feel like they're so intuitive, and so I just keep trying to foster that.
I agree with you, and I especially want to just amplify what you just said about how them seeing us doing our rituals and our practices, how they observe it, they're soaking it up, they're soaking in so much, and they're soaking up so much. I find that with especially with my little scary Scorpio, like the whole way she starts her day, ends her day, with her own rituals, like watching her face, getting music going, lighting candles. When does she need incense? When does she want to be close to us? When does she not want to be close to us? Because quote unquote, the energy, like the energy is bad or weird, I think is such testament. And you're so right. They are intuitive. One of my favorite little pictures of another magical mom's life that we got during one of our co-working and co-creating sessions was our friend Ariana, and how she put tarot cards down and oracle cards down, like for the babies to play with. And they pick one up and they show it to her, and that's a wonderful way to introduce our kids into our tools, and make them feel special for their natural intuition and intuitive gifts, and appreciate them for their closeness to spirit just by virtue of them being these little tiny creatures and still brand new. Erica, I want to get to the link that I've got above. You and I are on our way to a retreat with our fellow magical moms for us to organize, get ready to launch, learn, and grow from each other and plan. So this is a two-part question. And I also feel a little closer affinity to you because I got to spend this amazing magical weekend in a place that I know you love. So, first of all, talk to us a little bit about this virtual day retreat that you're very excited about that's going to be happening, and why all retreats should take place in Portland. Go.
Okay, so first of all, I made this link 10 minutes before I hopped on here because I remembered I wanted to talk about it. It's brand new. It's actually not a virtual day retreat. It's a whole Magickal mentorship summer camp. It's kind of, like I said, I love hosting spaces. For a long time, I was doing virtual day retreats for the solstices, and those were great. But they were long, and like we wanted to do a lot of things. And so I was thinking about doing group containers are really special to me, because, you know, maybe not everyone can commit to like a coven or being in community like every week or every month or something like that. But having at least kind of like a group program together has I've just met some really special people, and I've hosted some different types of them, and they've been so beautiful and so helpful to people. And so I wanted to do that again this summer, and I was just gonna, like I said, I'm very, very in the prime of my like, let's, everything's magical, right? Like everything's fucking magical. Let's celebrate it. Let's explore it. Let's get curious about it. Let's try things out. Let's see how they feel. And so locally here in my community, with my kid and her friends, we've been doing forest schools and things like that. And so I just know a lot of moms here locally that they're like, you know, I'm interested in this witchy stuff, and I know a little bit about astrology, or you know, I've got tarot cards, or they're kind of into like these different things, but they don't really have people to talk about it with or practice it with, or there's like they want to learn more. And so I'm putting together this summer camp, and I was like, it could just be me. But then I pulled my friends on Instagram, and everyone was like, I was like, it could just be me, or my old band tour guide self was like, or we could make it like a festival. So I was like, what if I just invited all my cool magical friends to all join in as well, and we could have like a series of workshops. And then there'll also be a series of just like kind of like study halls where we're just gonna talk about, you know, try things on, talk about what's working for us, ask questions. And so I'm going to run that this summer. And we're going to cover all kinds of fun stuff from, you know, astrology and human design and gene keys to somatics, the wheel of the year, like moon cycles, herbalism, you know, spell casting, divination, all that kind of good stuff. And I really just kind of want to give people, no matter where they are on their spiritual journey, kind of like a, it's not going to be they're not going to be lessons of like how to do these things or how to get started. They're going to be like conversations with professionals and practitioners of like, this is why this is important to me. And if you want to test this out, no matter where you are on your journey, like here's something you can try on. And then we'll have a place to talk about it and be supported. So I'm calling it the Magickal Mentorship Summer Camp. So you can hop on the wait list. The opening ceremony will be June 19th for the summer solstice. And we'll go through the summer and just have a variety of things. You can join live or you can catch the replays, but you'll have a supportive community and a group chat to just, you know, explore your witchy side and dig in.
I am so excited. Okay, so and also y'all, because Erica, when I was looking at the virtual day retreat part, I was like, oh, this is Magickal Summer Camp. I'm gonna be one of your camp counselors. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm so thrilled for this. And this is a perfect entry point for exactly what you just said, like just dipping your toes in the water, just being in it with other people that whose life is around this. And we've got all kinds of, I was already creating a couple of spreads that I want to share with people, just how to begin, how to start experimenting with these different modalities. And what better container than, you know, the concept and the idea of summer camp. I would do just about anything to go to witchy summer camp where we can just sit around and explore, and you can hear from, you know, from quote unquote experts and how we did it and how we got into it. I also am really in love with this idea of like, you know, tents and, you know, our flashlights and getting together to have like fun secret talk. So I am thrilled with that. And since we're doing it virtually, I'm just going to put up Portland in the background.
Yeah, do it. I know I've got this, you know, we were talking about earlier, like our ancestors living in villages, and I'm really hoping that, I mean, I know the right people will come in, but I I've been talking to some of the practitioners as we're getting things ready, and I was like, I don't want this to be like an intro one-on-one class to everything. Like, I want us to have real conversations. I want us to be like a variety of experiences, right? Like the elders and the newbies and like everybody in between, because I think that creates such a rich environment for exploration and learning. And there is such value in, no matter where you are on the spectrum, in your perspective, right? Because you see things differently. And that's how we get to have this like beautiful kind of more holistic view of anything. So yeah, creating something. Longer containers are really my favorite thing because people get to like build relationships and they kind of like make their friends. And I've done I make a lot of things and I don't repeat them. I probably should, but I'm just like, oh, this was fun. I want to do this thing now. But I've just seen like these beautiful friendships form in these kind of longer containers that I've had. And then you kind of get like, you find your own study buddies, or, Q, just like you and I and Ariana and Karen have, you kind of, create these little pods where you're like, oh, I met these cool people. So yeah, we're going to do a summer camp thing. And hopefully someday we can do it in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Because Portland is magical, and I aspire to be there living full time in the near future.
It's so funny during this last weekend. First of all, I was joking earlier that I think my husband thinks that you guys are like my imaginary friends, because sometimes he's like, they can't possibly be as cool as you describe. I'm like, oh my gosh, and we haven't even met in person. Like, we haven't even been able to get together yet. They are as cool as they seem, and I wish that so much for everyone, because truly there are times that we get off the phone or we finish our meetings or we finish recording where I've just dreamstormed up 5 more ideas, or you guys help me have these amazing breakthroughs. Especially since we're all moms, I do so much more reflecting on who I was as a magical, young person, and do my best to want to spread that and share that. Again, I remain in awe of how quickly you take an idea, organize, and execute. I personally believe it is this amazing superpower, and I'm just I am just in awe, and I can't tell you all again. I really want you all to get into it. Touch this link, get on the wait list. Again, I'm gonna apparently be one of your counselors this summer.
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
wait. It's gonna be it's gonna be amazing. And I think what you said about longer containers is so true. You need time. Like, it takes time. Although when I saw Karen, my first, I immediately hop skipped. We jumped over. We're like, can we just be friends? Like, can we get past
Yeah.
can we get past the weird, awkward part? Can you please tell people, Erica, clearly they've got this link up there, but where are some other places that you create, and some other channels where people can find you? Because sometimes people love social audio, sometimes they love visuals. Erica's also brilliant for giving us just these gorgeous visuals and fashion and great glasses and effects. Where are some other places that people can enjoy what you create and share?
Yeah. So my vice of choice is Instagram. I'm at collective.commons over there. And I also I had an experiment last fall where I was leaning into my human design incarnation cross, and I was like, I'm going to make a podcast. So I have one season of a podcast. It's called Airdrops from Erica, that you can find on iTunes or Spotify. Those are probably the places where I'm most active, or on my website, which of course needs to be refreshed because I'm always making new things, which is collective-commons.com. But there's that. And if you go to my website, if you enjoy just like little love note check-ins, you can sign up for my email list. You'll get a free class about just trusting your intuition. I'm very much a nerd that loves to know how things work. So I'm constantly trying to bridge the gap between like science and spirituality, because I feel like they're actually just two sides of the same coin. So if you join the email list, you'll get a class about that, which will give you a lot of logical facts about why your intuition is very real, as well as some ways to tap into that. And then I like to send little love notes just to give you a moment of reflection, just like we're friends, because we are. And yeah, those are probably the best places to find me on the World Wide Web.
Awesome. And I'm gonna end by putting up, because I love on your site and your link tree. And if you all do go to Instagram, definitely climb Erica's link tree, because she has some amazing things, some amazing free goodies too. She's a Notion whiz, so there's some amazing templates and some really wonderful things to help kind of get you started and to get into her world. Erica, I'm so honored that you hung out with me on my cosmic couch. I'm so proud to be, one of your sisters in this magical struggle out here, a fellow magical mom. I'll be talking about Erica a lot more, because we podcast together in our new podcast, Magical Motherhood. Is launching this spring. I'm really keen to talk and share with you about why I think Portland, other than New Orleans and San Francisco, one of the most perfect places like in this country, and how I feel like it's a magical experience.
New Orleans, I mean, New Orleans has a piece of my soul already. Like, I've been to New Orleans more than anywhere else in the world, because that is a very special place. So we're going to talk about that too. But yes, but yeah, Portland's pretty great too. So
isn't it pretty? It's amazing. I didn't even know the Witch Whisperer down there, Queen Aurora down there is. I knew she was from Portland, but I just thought of her. I thought of you the whole weekend. I'm smitten. I'm in love. Portland was flirting like hell with me like all this week, so I can't wait to chat with you about that more. You guys will hear more about why we love it there. But Erica, I'm going to ask a special request of you. And our podcast, Magical Motherhood, we do things like quick spells, like what, because we're, we're businesswomen. Sometimes we're dealing with square jobs too, where other people, like we're another corporation or other client is paying us. We're trying to lead and run our homes. A lot of times we do activism in our own communities, and sometimes we just need quick spells or just a quick affirmation or some quick words. Do you mind just blessing us with a quick little spell of goodbye, whatever your words, because you're a Gemini air queen? Would you just bless us with a few words of goodbye before I do some housekeeping and wrap us up and say goodbye to everybody?
Sure. So so funny, because I heard you saying that. I was like, oh my God, she's going to put me on the spot and I don't know what I'm going to say. But luckily, the way that I work is I have quotes and stuff all over the place, because I'm sitting at my desk right now, and appropriately enough.
See, I knew. On one hand, I was like, oh my God, is she going to kill me? On the other hand, I was like, I bet she's prepared, and she is.
Yeah, no. So this is perfect, because it's AAPI month, and I am proud Asian American. But this is a quote from Grace Lee Boggs, because she's pretty magical too, and she's also from my homeland of, well, she spent most of her time in Detroit, which is another one of my soft spaces, because that's where I'm from. But she said that the only way to survive is by taking care of each other. And so I think that is, I think sometimes when we get a little overwhelmed in our own shit, it's good to take a moment to breathe and to maybe remember that there's all of this space outside of you. And so it's important that, I don't know, it feels important. We've been talking a lot about community today, that we take care of each other. So that's what I got. That's what I'm leaving you with.
I love it. It was perfect. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Erica Cullum, founder, creator of Collective Commons. Her world is so multifaceted. The offerings are so impactful and potent and powerful and fecund and nonstop. Please get on the waiting list for our magical summer camp experience that Eric has just created for everyone. I can't wait to come to you all there and witness as you all get to know up close and personal how magical and special she is. I hope that today's Boss Witch interviews inspired you.